Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have a fun and simple card making technique I want to share with you. It's called the fractured card technique, or another name for it is the faux shutter card. And I have 3 different ways that you can use this technique in your card making. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have a variety of different card ideas that I want to share with you that feature this fractured card technique. It's a super simple design technique and a great way to show off your designer paper or some fun little die cut shapes. Now, the cards in this video feature the Irresistible Blooms bundle from Stampin Up, and they also feature a variety of different designer paper from the Hello Irresistible Designer Series paper pack. Now, these particular products are part of Stampin' Up's online exclusives, so you will only find them online, and I will provide the link in the description below this video. All right, let's get started with this technique. Okay, so let's talk about this fractured card making technique. So for this technique, you can really use any supplies that you have on hand. I'm going to show you how to do the basic technique, and then I will show you a couple other ways that I incorporated this technique into my card making. Okay, so here are the supplies that you will need for this particular technique. So you're going to need to choose a card base, and in this case, I'm going to be using Pretty Peacock for my color scheme. So I just have a standard card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4 inches to create the base of the card. Then I chose my designer paper, which of course coordinates with my color scheme here. So this piece is just 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Then I have a 2 3/8 by 2 3/8 square shape. So this particular shape I created with one of the Stylish Shapes dies, but you don't necessarily need that die. You can create any size square that you want. What I recommend is that you kind of lay it out on your paper to make sure that when you turn it diagonally, when you make a little diamond out of it, that it fits on your paper. So this is about the largest size that you can use, and you can go smaller too. So then the last thing I did is just cut some 1/4 inch wide pieces of cardstock. And I'm using the same color cardstock for these pieces as I am for the base of the card. So that's the general setup. So let me show you how to make this card. So the first thing you want to do is adhere your square shape kind of to the center of the card. I like to go center and kind of up towards the top a little bit. You can do it exactly center if you want to. So I'm just going to adhere it to this piece of designer paper. And we're not going to adhere the designer paper to the card front just yet. We're going to create our little fractured look on the card, and then we will go ahead and adhere it. So the next thing I'm going to do is just use my pieces of cardstock, my little Pretty Peacock cardstock pieces, and these are a 1/4 inch wide, and they are about 3 3/4 inches long. And then I have a longer piece, which is about 6 inches, I believe. But you basically want to do is just kind of go around your card and adhere them around this square shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by aligning it with the edge of the square. So I don't want to go past the edge. I want to be right at the edge. That's going to be my first piece. It doesn't matter where you start, just as long as you start the same way, meaning that you line it up with the edge. I'm going to take one of my other pieces and I'm just going to lay it on here just so that I can ensure that I get a good fit. So I'm going to turn this, and we are going to add some glue to this piece. And then we will just adhere it right up against the square shape and then right up against this piece here. Now I don't have this piece adhered to the card. I'm just kind of using it as a guide so that I know where the placement is of my 1/4 inch piece there. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to go around and adhere all these pieces. And you can already start to see how it's going to look. So I'm going to add this piece. And I'm just going to put it right up against that piece that I adhered over here and just let it hang off the edge of the designer paper. So here's where I'm going to use that really long piece. And I'm going to adhere this. So you can already see the card is starting to take shape. And then my last piece is going to go on here. And then you can take this and you can flip it over, and we're just going to trim off the excess. All right, so now we have adhered all our pieces and we trimmed off those little excess pieces, and you get that kind of shutter. It kind of looks like a shutter, which is why they call it a faux shutter, but they also call it the fractured card making technique. So now we are ready to adhere this piece to our card front. So you can see why I recommend that you use the same color as your card base for these 1/4 inch pieces. So it gives the illusion that I adhered all these little designer series paper pieces, but in fact, all I did was add these 1/4 inch pieces to my designer paper. Okay, so here is the finished card. So you can see I just added a very simple focal point, and then I did a little heat embossing to add my greeting, and then just embellished it with a couple of gems. So as you can see, it's super simple and it gives the card just a really fun look. So that is the first way that you can use this technique in your card making. Then the second way that you can use the technique is just change the colors around. So in this case, I have the pretty peacock for my little pieces, my little 1/4 inch pieces, and my card base. Here, I use the same designer paper, same kind of focal point, but I'm using white cardstock instead of the green or the pretty peacock. So my pieces here are done in white, and it just gives the card a completely different look. So I added a green focal point in the middle here. I have a white here, and then I, reverse the colors. So you can definitely reverse the colors and just create a whole new look for the card. And then the third way that I used this technique was to do a little bit of embossing. So I started with a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock, and I embossed it with the quatrefoil embossing folder. And then my pieces here and my card base are in petal pink. And my focal point, well, instead of using a popped up focal point, I simply cut out one of the pretty designs in the designer series paper and used that as my focal point. So these are just 3 different ways that you can use this technique in your card making, and I'm sure there are plenty more ways that you can come up with to use it. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 3 different ways that you can use this technique in your card making. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.